Download this code from codegive.com, link in the description below. Diving into Windows Keyboard Driver. Windows keyboard drivers are essential for translating keystrokes from the keyboard hardware into signals that the Windows operating system can understand. Writing a keyboard driver can be complex, but by diving into the basics, you can gain a better understanding of how these drivers function. Prerequisites. Before diving in, make sure you have 1. Windows Driver Kit, WDK. Download the latest version of WDK from the Microsoft website. 2. Visual Studio. Having a version that supports driver development is essential. 3. Basic knowledge of C/C++. Most Windows drivers are written in C or C++. 4. Understanding of Windows kernel and driver development, familiarity with kernel mode programming concepts. Overview of keyboard driver. A keyboard driver in Windows typically interacts with the keyboard hardware, translates the raw input into a format that Windows can understand, and then sends that input to the appropriate applications. Basic components of a keyboard driver. 1. Driver entry, the main entry point for the driver. 2. Unload, a routine that cleans up when the driver is unloaded. 3. IRP_MJ_read, handles read requests from the keyboard. 4. IRP_MJ_device_control, handles control requests that allow communication with the driver. Sample code structure. Here's a simple structure to get you started on writing a keyboard driver. Explanation of the code. 1. Driver entry function. This function is called when the driver is loaded. It sets up the driver object and specifies which functions to call for different types of requests. 2. Unload driver function. This function cleans up resources when the driver is unloaded. 3. Keyboard read function. This function will handle read requests, where you would implement the logic to read input from the keyboard. 4. Keyboard control function. This function handles device control requests that are sent from user mode applications to interact with the driver. Building and testing the driver. 1. Build the driver. Use Visual Studio to compile the code into a .sys file. 2. Testing in a virtual machine. It's highly recommended to test your driver in a virtual machine to avoid crashing your main operating system. 3. Installing the driver. Use a tool like SCEXE to install the driver service. 4. Debugging. Use tools like WinDBG to debug your driver. Set up kernel debugging to analyze how your driver behaves. Additional resources. Microsoft Driver Development Documentation, a comprehensive source of information about writing Windows drivers. Kernel-mode driver framework, KMDF, a framework that simplifies the driver development process. Sample drivers. Check out sample drivers provided in the WDK for more complex examples. Conclusion. Writing a keyboard driver is a challenging yet rewarding process. By following the instructions and understanding the code structure outlined above, you will be equipped to start developing your own keyboard driver for Windows. Remember to keep testing and debugging, as driver development can lead to system instability if not handled properly. Happy coding!